In today's podcast, I'm going to show you why sex, as great a gift as it is, and it's from God, is not enough to sustain a marriage. I speak from personal and professional experience. Now, a couple of items before I launch into today's topic. First off, if you want my brand new couples devotional, and I know you do, I hope you do, go to my website, davideclarkephd.com, Clarke with an E. In the month of October, you can get this book at a special pre-sale price. Again, I'm not a guy that likes to discount anything, so this is like a miracle happening. If you can get this book in October, you're going to save. You're going to save money. Phil Dugas of Dugas Creative, look, it's his idea. You can thank him for the savings because he has engineered this whole process of saving people money. So fine. In fact, just a little shout out for Phil. One of my favorite son-in-laws, by the way, married to Nancy, and they didn't give birth. Nancy gave birth to my grandson. They named him David. Are you kidding me? What a great name. Anyway, if you have a small business, really any business, but a small business, and you'd like some digital help, podcasts, social media, particularly website design, Phil Dugas is your man. You can look him up on the web, Dugas Creative. He has revolutionized our business, absolutely has. These podcasts, the videos, the social media, it's all done by Dugas Creative. So just a shout out for Mr. Phil. I had to do that because he named his son after me. Anyway, no, this has really helped us. And I think it will help you too to get the word out and impact people for Jesus and, of course, make money to support your family, all those things. Phil Dugas can help you with Dugas Creative. Now, next. Oh, The Secret to Becoming Soulmates. Now, this new devotional, The Secret to Becoming Soulmates, is a very personal and practical book that I believe can change your marriage. It contains 52 devotionals. Now, you would say, Dave, my spouse isn't a Christian, though. I don't know that this book's perfect for you. I wrote it with you in mind, as a matter of fact. And if your spouse will join you, these are short devotionals, 10, 15 minutes. It's a gentle path, talking about God, talking about background issues, creating conversations that will hopefully lead your spouse to Christ without him even realizing it. He'll realize it, but it's a gentle kind of backdoor way in to getting someone to trust Jesus. Others would say, well, Dave, okay, I'm married. We're both Christians, but I'm really more of an on-fire Christian than my spouse, husband or wife. Well, this book is for you too. Again, the steps, the conversations, the Bible reading, the spiritual bonding exercises, low-key though they are, step by step, can lead your partner who is a Christian but not growing into a growing relationship with Jesus. Well, that'll make all the difference in your marriage. Great for engaged couples, great for those couples, of course, getting married, those that are dating seriously. I talked to a young man just a few weeks ago who's a wonderful young man, a godly man, and in love with this woman who is not a Christian. Been a couple of years, I said, look, and he knows it, you can't marry her if she doesn't come to Jesus. But I said, look, get the book, The Secret to Becoming Soulmates. And she's a wonderful person. I haven't met her, but by all accounts, she just doesn't know Jesus. Didn't have a spiritual background at all in her home. So I said, go through these steps together. And along the way, the next several months, 2, 3, 4 months, maybe she can come to Jesus. So we'll see how that works out. Now, also today, I've got a question that I'm going to answer from a podcast listener, and it's a question on sex, because this podcast is about sex, the physical part of your relationship. Here's the question. Dr. Clarke, I want to experiment in the bedroom. This is probably a man, although it could be a woman. I want to experiment in the bedroom. Oh, this is a man, and try some different things to spice up our sex life. Well, okay, that's fine, at least with him. Here's the problem. My wife is resisting these new approaches and says she's not comfortable with what I have in mind. What do I do? Very good question. I got this question at many of my marriage seminars. Here's my answer. There's nothing wrong with trying new things and being creative in your sex life, in your love life. Nothing at all wrong. In fact, it's a good idea. God gives a married couple tremendous freedom in their sex life. He absolutely does. But here's the caveat. Both husband and wife must be okay with any new sexual behaviors. Do not pressure or force your spouse into anything. That's wrong. That's abuse. So I say to this husband, be patient and kind with your wife. Listen to her concerns, her fears about the sexual things you're proposing. Probably not too outrageous, but she's uncomfortable. Pray about it, talk about it, and give her time to process your new ideas. Ask her to let you know when she's ready to try something different. And when she's ready, go very slowly and be very gentle and careful. The key for both of you is to enjoy what you're doing sexually. So if she says, well, okay, we can try something, you are going to ease into it. If 2 minutes into the procedure, whatever it is, I don't like this, I don't think I can, you back off immediately. So over time, maybe she can kind of open up and be a little more free in the bedroom. And frankly, you're going to be shocked to hear this, but I have a book that will help you. I know you're just sitting there stunned. Dr. Clarke has a book for a specific marital issue? Of course I do. The book I wrote some years ago, Kiss Me Like You Mean It, still in print. You can get it on my website, of course, too. Kiss Me Like You Mean It. Get that book and read it together. It explores the Song of Solomon's message about physical love as well as emotional and spiritual love. It'll create some great conversations about romance and sex. Okay, today's topic. Some years ago, my wife Sandy and I hit a wall in our marriage. At that point, we had been married for 14 years, and we were still happy together, still in love, still doing well, but we realized that our relationship had reached a plateau. We admitted to each other reluctantly that we had begun to coast a little. Our life together had become too predictable, comfortable, and routine. We agreed that we were too young to be an old, boring married couple. Now, we're only 60 now, but back then we certainly weren't that old. Sandy and I were not satisfied with where we were. An okay marriage wasn't going to be enough for us. We wanted more. We wanted to get to the next level, a deeper level. We wanted what all of you want: intimate communication, more playfulness, and better sex. You know what? God wants the same things, but we weren't sure exactly what was missing. How can we get there? We didn't know what we needed to do to get past the barrier between us and a closer bond. We began to search for the reason our relationship was stalled. We spent a great deal of time looking for the missing piece. We evaluated, we talked, we prayed. It's embarrassing to confess that it took us several years to figure it out. It's embarrassing because the solution had been there all along, right in front of us. We already possessed it. What was the one thing that could energize our marriage and take us where we wanted to go? It was a relationship with Jesus. Well, we already had that. Many couples today are in the same situation that Sandy and I were in. Their relationships are suffering and in some cases even dying, even as they have within reach the one thing that would save them and make all the difference. It's like dying by a pool of water that you don't know is there out in the desert somewhere. It's right there. You don't know it's there. What if I told you that there's a way to build intimacy, real intimacy, with a member of the opposite sex? What if I told you that there was a way to improve every single area of that relationship, across the board, no exceptions? What if I told you that there was a way to avoid serious mistakes in this relationship, mistakes that cripple and scar and ruin? What if I told you there was a way to bring this relationship back from the dead, to make it brand new again? You'd want it, wouldn't you? Of course you would. Well, there is a way that you can do this, and it is within your reach. That's the good news. Now, you might be thinking, really, Dave, come on. This sounds too good to be true. Sure, it sounds too good to be true, but it is true. When it comes to God, what he says in the Bible is always true. There is a way to create this relationship that's this good, a deeply intimate, strong, safe relationship powered by God himself. God wants us to have this kind of relationship so much that he doesn't waste any time bringing it to our attention. Right away, Genesis, first book of the Bible, second chapter, Genesis 2, we find the first and in many ways the most important message in the Bible about male-female intimacy. In it, God describes the relationship he wants every married couple to enjoy. This is Genesis 2:24. For this cause, marriage, a man will leave his father and his mother and shall cleave to his wife, and they will become one flesh. Wow, one flesh. The words one flesh are very simply God's definition of heterosexual intimacy. And if it's God's definition, it must be the best one. He's got all the great definitions. When Jesus Christ was asked about marriage, he referred to the same one flesh relationship. We see this in Matthew 19, 4 through 6. This is Jesus, and he answered and said, have you not read that he who created them from the beginning, God and him, made them male and female, and said, for this cause a man shall leave his father and his mother, and will cleave to his wife, and the two will become one flesh? Consequently, they are no longer two, but one flesh. What therefore God has joined together, let no man separate. When the Apostle Paul spoke about man-woman relationships, he also referred to married couples being one flesh. So this concept is extremely important. Now, I don't know about you, but when both Jesus and Paul use the same concept to describe marriage, it gets my attention. Now, what does it mean to be one flesh? One flesh is a complete coming together of a man and a woman in 3 vital areas, all important. You can't do without any of them: physical, emotional, and spiritual. God says that you have true, complete intimacy only when you are bonded together in all 3 of these areas. Now, let me ask you, which of these 3 areas is the most important in a relationship? Which component of intimacy provides the best foundation for a relationship? Your answer will determine the success or failure of your marriage. Now, we all know, this will come as no surprise to anyone watching this video on my YouTube channel or as a podcast in the audio version, that American culture is obsessed with sex. Yeah, big shock, huh? In every form of media, sex is on center stage, has been now for decades. There used to be some standards, they're gone now. You can hardly find a movie without offensive, erotic language, nudity, and sexual intercourse. Good luck. The movie can be mostly great, but they've got to put a sex scene in. They've got to do it, and you know they do it. Just about every show on television, I mean, sitcoms, dramas, these nasty reality shows, comedies, talk shows, is sexually oriented. This is every media platform. Television, all the streaming services, Netflix, I mean, you name it, HBO, whatever. All the cable shows that are nasty, they're filled with sex. Because frankly, sex sells. They wouldn't do it if it didn't sell. If the actors aren't having sex, they're talking about it. Even nature shows seem to be showing more sex. I'm doing the research for you. Look, I don't want to see up close and in color the mating dance and intercourse of the Black Mountain gorilla. Look, nobody does. Well, maybe they do. If you do, call me. I can help you. If you do happen to find a television show worth watching, the commercials bombard you with sex. So if the show's okay, the commercials won't be. Companies use sex to sell everything from cars to vacuum cleaners to beer. Is this necessary? I'll never forget this one. You may remember this is years ago now. There was a lady taking a shower using this special shampoo. And she literally appears to be having an orgasm while she's washing her hair. I mean, is that necessary? No, it's a shampoo. It washes your hair. It isn't that exciting. They want to make you think that I got to get this shampoo because look what she's experiencing. It's ridiculous. Nasty. Now, what's more, of course, the internet has made every type of pornography accessible to anyone with a phone or a computer. Instantly accessible. Thousands of opportunities, thousands of websites, all nasty. And believe me, millions, especially men and boys, are accessing it. Typically, guys go for the visual pornography, while women, searching for a meaningful relationship, are drawn to chat rooms or the written word. And of course, these shows on television, The Bachelorette, The Bachelor, all these things, these are drawing the interest of women in particular to relationships. And it's not right. Satan is using sex on the web to destroy millions of lives and relationships. You're not even safe listening to a sports show. Whether it's an audio or a video, they're going to talk about sex. They're going to use innuendo. They're going to have the picture of a woman in a bikini. Cheerleaders, who cares? It's supposed to be about the game. They can't help themselves. Of course, it's all sinful. I'll never forget. And of course, the message of culture is get all the sex you can with a variety of partners. Don't limit yourself to sex with just your spouse. What are you, crazy? Just don't get caught. But really, you can experience other things. Sex outside of marriage is more exciting, they'll tell you. And the kinkier the sex, the better. You know what? Baloney. I'll never forget back in high school. And I came from a Christian home. It wasn't a Christian high school, it was a secular high school. They had a very well-known medical doctor, I think it was a gynecologist, who came in to speak to us. And it was a convocation of all the kids, 200 kids. It was a private school, not a Christian school. And he actually gave the message, which of course it's what they always say, but he said, look, you're all of us teenagers, you're going to have sex. We know you're going to have sex. We can't prevent that. And it's probably even healthy. So and of course the whole message is how to have safe sex. I went home and told my dad, and he said, Dad, the doctor's a moron. He's a bright man, but he's a moron in this area. Though he didn't cover the one thing that's foolproof in avoiding sex and sexual disease, and that's abstinence, not having sex. Anyway, that's our culture with sex. And it's really Satan's view of sex. Now, here's the question for you. Can you base your relationship, your marriage, on sexual intimacy? Yes, you can. Is this a good idea? No, it is not. A relationship based solely on the physical will last 6 months to a year and a half, no longer. Let's face it, human beings quickly grow bored with anything familiar and common. As powerful as it can be, sexual attraction alone is not enough to sustain a relationship. I've seen that over 34 years of my practice. When you've seen the same naked body 20, 50, 202 times, you know that not much is going to change. It may be a beautiful body, and you may be attracted to it, but you cannot continue to depend only on that body for intimacy. The proof of what I'm saying is found in the media every single day when we hear about the Hollywood stars and their oh-so-brief relationships. We're going to find out today through all the media platforms that a beautiful Hollywood actor has gotten together with a beautiful Hollywood actress. Oh, we're very excited. They started a relationship. They might get married. They might not. They might have kids. They might not. It makes no difference. You want to know why? Because a year to a year and a half down the road, 18 months tops, 2 years tops, we're going to find out they split up. Please respect our privacy. We love each other very much, but we're breaking up. I'm always thinking, if you love each other so much, why are you breaking up? But they're breaking up, and they moved on to somebody else already. These Hollywood types are beautiful people. That's why they have jobs. They make millions of dollars. If sex doesn't work for them, with all the free time and the advantages and true awesome beauty, it won't work for us either. It's not God's plan. It doesn't work for anybody. Sex, whether inside or outside marriage, cannot carry a relationship far under its own power. You're going to get a year. You're going to get 18 months. That's it. Premarital sex and extramarital sex are incredibly intense. They are passionate, no question, exciting, yes. I've talked to many couples who have described a thrilling rush of sex outside marriage. Of course, the catch is, and there's always a catch, it's very brief and tremendously destructive. It will ruin your life. Satan doesn't mention that until it happens and he's laughing his head off at you and the destruction that you've created. The temporary pleasure runs out and the individuals are left trying to pick up the shattered pieces of their lives. Sex inside marriage is morally pure and part of God's plan. It can also be intense, passionate, exciting, and fun. But it still can't carry a relationship very far. Even if you remain faithful to your marriage partner and your sexual relationship keeps getting better, it alone cannot lead to a long and intimate life together. That's not God's design. If it was, fine. It's not. He didn't do it that way. The love of many couples dies just a few short years after they marry. Why? Because their foundation was physical attraction and sex. Now, you have to have that to get married. Don't date or marry anybody that you're not really attracted to physically. Of course not. But that's not going to carry you 50, 60 years. Not going to happen. Now, many of you can admit this, right? Let's be honest here. Now, like many of my clients, you'd tell me, Dave, look, okay, you're right. I've had several relationships based strictly on sex in the past, and they didn't last. My response is, of course they didn't last. Though sex is an important part of marriage, God never designed it to carry a relationship 40 or 50 years. Here's the bottom line. God created sex to be an enjoyable and meaningful part of marriage, but he never intended it to be the most important part of a couple's relationship. Now, in the next podcast, we're going to look at the emotional intimacy part of a relationship, and I'm going to tell you what it can do for you and what it can't do for you. Now, don't forget to give us a 5-star rating for this podcast and a review on Apple Podcasts. And tell others about my podcast. You can help us grow our audience and save more marriages. Now, many of you are beginning to view this podcast on YouTube. We're excited about that. We thank you for that. And so make sure, if you're viewing it on YouTube, to subscribe to my YouTube channel and to like this video. That's really going to help us grow our audience and save more marriages. And keep in mind, again, special pre-sale for my brand new book, The Secret to Becoming Soulmates, available on my website through the month of October for a special price because of Phil Dugas and Dugas Creative. And of course, the website is David E. Clarke, Clarke with an A, David E. Clarke, PhD.com. I'll talk to you next time.